Hello again. I am at the moment in Prague, the Czech capital. Although we may think that the Czech Republic is not so famous for great music, art and literature as, say, Germany or Britain, like all European countries, it has a good solid history of such things. I was today up at the old castle, near to which is both the Cathedral of St Vitus and also a little row of houses called the Golden Lane. Franz Kafka lived in Golden Lane when he was writing The Castle, and the cathedral, which is nearby, is his setting for one chapter of the trial. Mucha, the great artist of the Art Nouveau movement, painted some of the windows in the cathedral. From the castle hill you can see the river Vltava, known in Germany as the Moldau. Schmettner, of course, wrote the symphonic poem, The Moldau. What other names do we associate with Prague? Well, Dvorak wrote the New World Symphony, and Jaroslav Hasek, author of The Good Soldier Švec, spring to mind. Those who listen to the third programme on the wireless, Radio 3 as it is now, probably familiar with Janacek. In short, even a relatively obscure capital city in Europe is overflowing with a history of creativity and culture. As you move away from Europe, though, this becomes less and less the case. On the scientific and medical front, it is hard to think of any invention or development in science which was not the product of European thought, sometimes of Europeans who moved to the United States. Without European thought, European culture, we would be living in a dark age, and that's the fact of the matter. There would be no cars, no mains electricity, no brain surgery, genetics, aeroplanes, televisions, mobile telephones, internet or sat-nav. European thought conceived the modern world and then brought it into existence. Western Christian civilization has brought the world to the level of sophistication at which we now find ourselves. But if we are not very careful, that progress might be slowed and then halted. And if we are not very, very careful, we might find our civilization slipping backward towards a new dark age. Cities like Prague are fairly secure from the menace of such a retrograde motion, but if it happened to Britain and the United States, then this would have a knock-on effect upon the whole of Europe. Countries like Hungary and the Czech Republic are determined to maintain their European identity and to resist calls to abandon their own heritage and kowtow to other faiths. Although the majority of the population are, it is true, atheist, they still value their Christian civilization, if that makes sense. They still value their heritage. Britain and Ireland may be falling, but in the countries of Central and Eastern Europe, the flame is still burning of the common culture which made the world as we know it. I would have preferred it, quite frankly, if it had been Europe which lapsed into barbarism and Britain which maintained the torch of Western civilization, but I don't somehow think that's how it's going to be. I think that it is European countries such as this which may become islands within a world where civilization declines and perhaps even fails entirely. They are keeping the faith which every true-born Britisher and Irishman should have held on to and has let slip from their fingers.